Inflation, deflation, that seems to be the debate back and forth in the past little while. And I actually will say, I think everybody believes there will be deflation and then there will be inflation.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
How quickly will it kick in?
Right. So Andy is going to argue today and that it will kick in sooner. I'm going to argue that it will kick in much, much later.
Yeah, I mean, we've never actually seen, a modern industrialized country lose control of its prices, of its currency. I mean, the 70s, they got kind of close, but there's a risk this could happen now.
Yeah, yesterday when we took our viewer calls during the Bear Tax Show, again, someone called in and said, so much of this depends on whether you invest in equities or gold, what you believe is going to be happening with prices. So we promised yesterday, we have to be careful what we promise on the air, because this is a complicated one, on a debate on deflation versus inflation. So that is what we're doing. Andy here is taking the bullish side, which in this context we're saying is inflation. I guess you're seeing some pricing power, which means you have a healthy economy. I am taking...
Oh, well, I wouldn't paraphrase quite that far. Okay.
I'm trying to make my case here. I am making the bearish argument here, and bearish in this instance means that I believe that we're going to have a deflationary environment. And to be very specific, because we need to be on this one, we're saying in exactly 2 years. So on April 8th is today, yes?
Yeah.
April 8th, 2011.
2011.
I know.
Scary.
Yes.
No.
I'm saying prices will be lower, and Andy is saying prices will be higher.
A couple of ways you can play it. Obviously, gold. I mean, we heard people talking about that ad nauseum almost. Buy gold, and you could buy GLD, the big gold ETF out there. You could also buy a bond ETF, of course, as well.
Right.
Generally, if there's deflation, bonds are going to do really well. Inflation, bonds are going to really suffer. Gold is the reverse.
Right.
Traditionally, if inflation comes back, gold is really good to have.
Okay, so those are the parameters of today's debate, and our lucky guest judge today is Rick Pennycooke. He is president of the Lakeshore Group. Rick, can you hear us?
I can, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
It is great to have you with us. Are you all set for this one?
I am, and Andy, don't let me down.
Don't worry, Rick. No, it's another victory for me lined up. Okay, I've got really a threefold case. You just have to look what's happening in the market. People are betting. Smart money buys bonds. You know the old saying, buy bonds, wear diamonds. Bonds are telling the tale that inflation is coming back, and probably sooner than later. Just the amount of money that's flooding into the economy, it's got to go somewhere. It's going to chase the price of goods and services up. And finally, Barack Obama faces a multi-decade crisis here. He's going to grasp at everything he can, and devaluing the US dollar, inducing inflation, is one of the levers he's going to have to pull. So let's have a quick look at the yield on 10-year bonds. US and Canadian bonds, they drifted in recent weeks below 3% in some cases. They've moved up sharply. So when you see bonds do that, you know that you've got a problem on your hand when you see yields moving up like that. Let's have a look at the Canadian money supply. It's taken off. It's taken off rapidly in recent weeks. When you see a money supply taking off like that, same thing happening in the States. Sure, other aggregates are being kept under control by the government, but there's far more money flooding into the economy. Here's my third point. President Obama is out of options now. How is he going to devalue? How is he going to get rid of these trillions, tens of trillions of dollars in deficits and debt America faces, including, of course, the unpaid for Medicare and Social Security bills? He's going to have to devalue the dollar. Most of the debt is denominated in US dollars. Canada will have to follow suit, devalue our own currency. That means inflation is coming back.
Okay, I take great issue with where all the money's going to go, and I want to get into that later on. But let me start with my 3 points on why I believe prices will be lower 2 years from now than they are right now. First off, we're exporting, or there's going to be an exporting of deflation, which I'll explain. Secondly, spare capacity. And three, time. It takes time for all of this to work through the system. So point number one, here we go. Basically, one country says, look, we've got a problem of deflation here in our country. Let's just take the States, for example, and say, okay, we have to cut interest rates in order to inject